Okay, I'm going to tell you something right now that is, it's just a fact. If an average person looked at what I showed them, and you'd think you were on LSD or something if you thought this was real, but it is real. So, and you don't have to take LSD to find out it's real. This is real. This is what happened. It's the things that were written were real. They talked about Gorgons. They talked about Medusa. They talked about hardening people to stone instantly with her gaze, and that's what happened to this guy. They freaked out when they looked at him. Well, they've tried to fix this thing, patching it up with little bits of metal and clay and stuff, but they can't fix it. It's falling apart. And it's at some point the biology starts to come back out of it, which the biology is in here. That's the tendon. This is the red blood and all this stuff. This is the fleshy area. That is the texture that's up inside of an arm, the bones and where the meat and all that stuff. All of the anatomy is here, the biology is here, the chemistry is here. Now, I'm going to show you what the anatomy of this is. Remember this piece right here. That is the tendon. That is calcium carbonate, CaCO3, with mineral inclusions in it, and it is strappy as hell. And this is what puts the spring in your step. It's what enables your leg to lift up and down your foot. If you cut that right there, your foot would just fall like that. Now, let's look at what a leg looks like. Okay, this is a video that I was tagged in from Seeing is Believing. Nice people, a nice group on Facebook. Seeing is Believing, SIB. Now, absolutely unbelievable. Unbelievable. Now watch this. This is a story of, you can come in here and watch it, look at it, and it's a story of a ship that was turned to stone by the guy's mother because she was upset because he was ashamed of her from where he came from. So she turned the ship to stone, and obviously the things that were on it, as we will see, if that is the case. Now, as we know, Gorgons can do that stuff. So maybe that is the case. However, also falls into the mud fossil realm because of mud fossilization. Now I'm just going to play this, and I will talk about this as it goes through here and discuss this. Now this is a guy laying here. Whoops. Let me come back here, and I'll stop it on each one of these little spots. That is a guy laying here, and that is his head, and I believe he has some form of a cap on, a skull cap, a helmet, whatever. Now, as it goes forward here, let's... that's his arm. And there you see the same bloody stuff. There he is up closer. That's his leg. Now you see these triangles and things. Now, you see all these little squares. Where do you see the things? Every single thing petrified. And the reason it did, in my mind, I could be wrong, could have been petrified, but I believe what happened here was this was in an instantaneous, heavy flow of mud. Just flooded over the boat in a tsunami, whatever it was. But it was the finest of fine muds. What does that do? That seals the surface of all the things that are organic specifically, because it fills in all the little porous entry places. And what it does, almost immediately it begins to plate itself. And because they are little platy, polar silicates. They're silicon dioxide, and they come in the form of plates, just like a shingle on a house. First one comes on, the next one comes on, the next one comes on. In salt water with telluric currents. That is the natural, spontaneous charges that occur in the earth. They're here all the time. Happen all the time. They never take any consideration of them. Telluric currents are continuously, anytime water moves, there is electricity. That's the way it works. Water moves electricity. And they will make those plates begin to form a coating, just like plating a cheap ring. And then whatever is inside of that is cellular in nature, and the cells themselves are made, the cell walls are made of carbon. Right? There's a bilipid layer, look it up, there's 2 layers of carbon. forms a hydrophilic and a hydrophobic layer, so that it keeps water on one side and water on the other side, and nothing, and not allowed in the middle. Now, so it keeps your membrane open, you're working. And of course there's little holes for things to go in. Now, that's biology. Anyway, you can look it all up. It's very, very fascinating. But this, I believe, the mud and the encapsulation of it, just like that, so that it did not rot, it did not spoil, it did not do anything other than become compacted and begin to stabilize as salty waters invaded. And they will invade around these little plates, but just barely, just the smallest ones. Water, H2O, very, very tiny molecule. Hydroxyl groups, HOs, OHs, they sneak right through there like nothing, because they are the smallest of small. And then, the little tiny molecules will invade into the tissues, and they will begin to stabilize them. They will say, okay, I'd like to stay with you. Are you comfortable with me? They say, yeah, you come on over here, we'll hold hands and we'll stay, because otherwise I'm just going to fall apart. He says, okay, your chemistry works with mine. You got 2 extra electrons, I need them. I got 6, and you got 2, that's 8. We're in the rule of 8. Let's make it happen, and they do. And then they stabilize. So that's a little story about it, but here goes. Now, that is my saying why this has happened. Now, let's stop it here and there when we find something of interest. Now, he's going through looking at things, and you're going here and there, and I'm seeing all these kind of silly looking things. I'm thinking, boy, that's interesting. Here he goes back to this guy, and then he keeps going around. Now, that's the guy's head, and I believe it's a skull cap of some sort. And then he starts looking over here, and I'm looking, I said, geez, this almost looks like a boat, like the front of a boat. And I keep looking, I say, holy crap, it's a boat. It's a huge boat. That is a boat. So I'm looking at it, and I'm looking at it, and it keeps going, and I'm getting more and more excited. And whoops, that one right there, the one just over here. Something you want to remember about mud fossils, when the strapping of the tissues overlaps in these triangles. The Greeks called it tunica, and I'm going to show you mine here. Hold on. Boom. Boop. Stop. Right there. See that? Absolutely flawless. Now, hold on. I know it's here somewhere. Give me a minute. There it is. Okay. Now, I want you to see, remember how this triangle flaps here. Triangle. They match in triangles. The tunica, which this is tunica. That's tunica. That's like a heavy, fibrous mat that coats bones. Now, this is the same thing right here. Okay. Let's see if I can make this look easy for you to see. You see that triangle right there? See it? That's what wraps these bones. Now, if the bone stays wrapped, which this did, as a mud fossil, the bone internally, which is all that's left is that, will transition into source rock. Now, over here, I believe that is not what's going to happen here, because it's in solution. Whereas this was completely impacted. This was a bone that every single bit of it became preserved. But everything is separated from that layer, because that is also a layer of what they call fascia. Fascia separates everything in your body from everything else, and it does the same thing when you're dead. That's why all the fibers you see on these gigantic feet that I'm saying are these basalt columns. They're not basalt columns from anything like volcanoes. That's insanity. Those are basalt columns from tendons. Look it up. Look up tendon fibrils, and you will see exactly what they are. There's calcium carbonate hex fibers that are in the tendinous areas that are the strong, strappy, pulley little places in your body. And anyway, that's another story. But this is about this boat and about this stuff. So it goes on, and I'm looking, I'm watching, I'm thinking, boy, this is fantastic. And here's the guy again, and that's the big deal now. All of a sudden, whoa, what do we got here? That's rope, but that's stone now. And that is where they wrapped it around the spindles. And I'm looking, I'm thinking, holy smokes. And you got jars, and you got all this. And then all of a sudden I see fabric. And I see the main beam, I believe. The main beam has broken. I believe inside there is still some wood, or a wood that hasn't become mineralized to change the color of it like everything else. It's deep enough in there that it did not get mineralized in the same mud manner as the rest. The rest is invaded with salty little mineral invasions. Look at that. They're just walking right over. It's not. Look. Whoa. Hold on. I never get this right. Yeah, I gotta go back. Hold on. I'm coming. Here we go. So here's you're walking over, boom. It's somebody's robe or something that's laying over, some kind of fabric, probably actually the rigging, the sails. I found right there. There's the rope. That's the rope ladder that goes up. There's another one. They go up. There's a barrel. Now, at first I said, hold on, here it is. I looked here, and I'm looking to see if I can find any metal, because metal will not preserve. Metal particulates, rusty metal, because the rust in the metal itself explodes. Now, so I see this is tied with a rope, so obviously that, but I can't find any metal to look at to find where it actually rusted away. But look, you could see the fabric of all these things. You see the wooden beams where the things were coming out. This is the guy's body. Now, I don't think he's any bigger than a normal human being. My guys are huge, but what can I say? This is a giant boat. Well, not giant, but it's a good-sized boat. And every single bit of it has been preserved. Did she go, preserve yourself? Or did this get preserved? I mean, look at that. In a mud flood. I mean, I know they call these things mud floods now, but let me tell you something about this mud flood theory. There was no worldwide mud flood. There's mud floods every single day, everywhere on Earth. I mean, not covering Earth everywhere every day, but they're making it sound like there's one huge mud flood that flooded the whole Earth. Well, it was this one, or it was not necessarily this one, but it was the Great Flood that caused the mud fossils. Now, this was a natural flood in the ocean, a tsunami, I believe. That's my take. Now, it could have been organized, because we see it happen. I guarantee that happened. I'll show you other ones. And in Ovid, you should read Ovid. And I'm going to read you how, I've been reading that every time I do a video about this petrification, but people that don't understand it need to understand it. Now, all of this it cannot be denied. This is a boat that is here, and it is preserved in the most spectacular manner. Now, there's a couple of shots that show the boat pretty much in its entirety, but there's the prow of the boat, I believe, and whatever goes up in the front. Here, look at this. Look at that. Did you see that? Watch this. There's a girl laying down in a similar pose as the guy. Now, he either had something on him, or that is the same kind of... Look at that. That's the rigging and a rope. I'm absolutely certain the rope. I think the rigging. Now, here's where this boat comes. Look at how perfect that is. Huge, huge boat. There's one of your main beams that went over. Here's that. Now, if anybody can deny any of this, I'd like to see what their explanation is, how this happened. And like I said, if you went to mainstream, they would say this was just designed as see, look at the guy's back of his helmet or something he had on. They would say this was a theme park designed just a tourist trap or something. Anyway, let's go forward. Now, you saw the Colossus. This is the Gigante at Del Marie, I believe. Monte Rosso El Marie Gigante. Now, this is long ago when he still had his arms and they had him holding a bowl up and all this stuff. Now, whether they implanted the bowl on there, this is a very old photograph, but you can see it has completely deteriorated since then. Now, let's look at some other ones. All right, this is the Colossus of Apennine. Now, right there is his tendons. Those are tendons. Now, I show this in all my videos, so I know you're going to say, "Oh, I've already seen that." Well, let's see it again. Those are the tendon straps that run down to make your arm do this. Now, you can see this is kaolin clay. They try to patch it up here and here and here. That the kaolin clay is the facial clay, the fine clays. This is what they make fine china out of. And everything else, you can see there's all kinds of things going on here. I understand most of this. This is something that he had on. This is a garment. And his hair's all petrified. They went and they're petrified. There's no other way. And he's strangling a dragon. All right, here he is again. He's strangling a dragon down there. Now, in the 1500s, some guy took credit for this. He says, "Oh, I did this." No, he didn't. He built a dragon's nest in the back on his back. That's all that guy did. He said, I built this. He didn't build it. This guy here, I mean, I have no clue. I don't know where this is, but he's like a three-legged guy. There was something that I got this from somebody. I don't know what it was from, but he's wrestling something. They said, "Hey, look over here." Boop, and they popped him. I don't know what he's wrestling. It looks like some kind of little dragon-y looking thing, looking like he wants to try to bite him. I don't know. Who knows? But it's not your average sculpture. OVID, Metamorphosis. Read that. It talks about turning people into stone. It talks about the gods. It talks about everything. And he asked for this information from the gods, and they told him the whole 9 yards. That's the way I take it. Now, also read Hesiod, Hesiod, and Herodotus. All those. Well, of course, Plato is good too. But anyway, those 3 for top shelf. Now, here's what happened. Perseus has the Gorgon's head. Now he's coming back, and he's getting in a fight with these guys, and they're going in to try to kill him. And he says, "I got a Gorgon's head," and they said, "Oh, well, big deal." And this guy Eryx rebuked them, saying, "Lack of courage, not the power of the Gorgon, freezes you. Rush in with me and knock this youth and his magic weapon to the ground." I don't think so, my friend. He had started his rush, but the floor held his feet fast, and there he stayed, unmoving stone, a fully armored statue. I mean, and I believe this is factual. I just showed you these creatures were Gorgonized. Now, Phineas is turned to stone. There was 200 of them turned to stone in this one battle. They all deserved the punishment they suffered, except one of Perseus's warriors. He was fighting on the side. Aconteus saw the Gorgon's head, and he took the shape of hardened stone. Astyages struck him with his longsword, thinking he was still alive, and the blade gave a high-pitched ringing noise. Astyages stood there amazed, and the same power transformed him. He remained there with a wondering look on his marble face. It would take a long time to tell the names of the middle ranks of men. 200 bodies survived the fight. 200 bodies turned to stone. Then it goes on and on and on, and it's absolutely fabulous. This is book 5. There's a lot that Ovid wrote, a lot, but it's very, very interesting. So, Mudfossil University, thank you all. This is another mud fossil, and this is a head. It was discovered by Arlie Caudle down in Kentucky, I believe it was Kentucky. Yeah, Kentucky. And Jim Burchell and I worked on this for a while, and he actually had a CAT scan, and they had doctors look at it and all this stuff. It's absolutely 100% was a human head, and it has a knit cap on there. You have to get and look at it real closely, but if you look, you can see the actual cabling of the knit and the little pockets of the knitting here and there. But you could see it. Anyway, you could see that it's raised up from his head. And over here, you can slide like a playing card. Jim was sliding playing cards up underneath between the cap and the side here. And I had a whole series of pictures on it, but that was on my old computer. This goes back 4 or 5 years. And of course, he gets caved in, his head was caved in, fractures his skull, and then there's a knife blade hole in the end of the top of his head. Somebody apparently killed him at the very end, came and finished him off. The nose is pushed down. You can see all the holes with a bone for him, and so I mean, there's absolutely no question what this thing is. And there was a problem with somebody on TV saying it wasn't real, and that caused a lot of problems for this research. So, thanks, Scott Walter. Now, let's go forward. I want to add that I got a note from Arlie's son a couple days ago. He saw one of my videos. I hope he sees this and tells Arlie that he was right. He was 100% right. Jim was 100% right. I was 100% right. Scott was 100% wrong. He should apologize. He should come out and say, these things are real, and I made a mistake. Now, that's what I would do. But that's the way it works. Now, Arlie, thank you, my friend, and I'm sorry for all the hassle that you got put through. Jim, same thing. That was not my doing. I had expected people to come along and accept the reality of this situation, not just dismiss it. And that's what did happen. I'll just make one more statement about this head. Arlie Caudle has it. Jim Burchell, one of them, has it down there. And like I say, I was in contact with Arlie's son just recently, a couple days ago. So I want to make one statement. Now, they put a lot of money into this. They had to have a CAT scan, a lot of money, had to go take a trip to go take it done and have it done. It was a very bad experience, all in all. I'm sure they will say that that's true. And that was not my doing. The people that CAT scanned at the University of Texas were not very nice, and they had an attitude, and they just held it up and would not answer one single question. So at any rate, all that's water over the dam now. Hopefully people understand now that the chemistry's proven, the CAT scans are proven, the anatomists prove it, the DNA proves it. It's all over. So I believe at the time they had this is going to go several years back now, that Arlie wanted to sell it. You know, if anybody was interested in selling, he was interested in offers. So if that's the case, contact me. I'll see if I can get a hold of Arlie's son and because this was the first absolute certainty of mud fossils, rejected as it was. It was, when I saw this, as soon as I saw it on TV and Scott Walter rejected, I said, whoa, wrong. I got a hold of Jim, and he was very receptive, very nice. Everybody down there was nice. And it didn't work out well, and I think they're probably upset at me because I became aggressive towards University of Texas, and that didn't work out real well either. So, having said all of this, it's water over the dam, but I want you to understand what we've been through. So that, you know, because it's been rejected, everything in the mud fossil realm here, it was rejected pretty much violently from you know, the people you expect to want to see this, especially when there's DNA and there's all this other stuff. We're willing to do CAT scans. They're not willing to do one single thing. No help yet. In 6 years, not a single finger lifted. Not an email returned. Nothing. Well, I can't say not one return, but it's always, you know, what are you, a creationist? That's basically what I get. Go find somebody who understands rocks. That came from Yale. So anyway, let's just go forward with this. Mudfossil University, get a hold of me. Let's just push this forward. I want reality. That's all I care about. I don't care about making any money. I don't care about any of that. I won't make any money. I refuse to make any money. This has nothing to do with that. Once I would step into that realm, I would belittle myself so bad that I would have no more moral authority to talk about this. And I don't want to have that anyway. I'm perfectly happy with what I got, which is not much, but it's enough. So let's go forward and make the world understand what our reality is. Then you can make your own decision. I'm not telling you that you have to believe something about this. No, I don't care what you believe. All I want you to be able to do is walk down the street and be able to know that people aren't laughing at me for thinking these things, which they are now, in my own family and everywhere. And I know you people are too, so don't tell me you're not either, because I know you are. All you have to do is say this kind of stuff to people. Oh, you're crazy. Well, they're indoctrinated, they're deluded, and you are not crazy. All right, Mudfossil University, I love you. God loves you. Get this stuff on the street.